All right, everyone, this is your 7.1 extra practice number 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one example from each section, then I'm going to let you guys work on your own. Again, this is all cross multiplication, just setting up your proportions and solving, okay? So, if you take a look at the first part, when two ratios are equal, that's called a proportion. In a proportion, a cross product is the product of the numerator of one ratio and the denominator of the other. We call this cross multiplication. Cross product would be the same thing. So in the image, you see 1 times 6, which is 6, and then you see 3 times 2, which is also 6. So it works out because the two ratios are equal. So determine whether each pair of ratios forms a proportion. Well, 6 times 5 is 30, and then on the other diagonal you have 3 times 10, which is also 30. So yes, that is a proportion. Okay, so why don't you continue to try these and move on to the next section when you're ready. You can use cross products to find a missing term in a proportion. So it says set up the equation. Well, let's cross multiply. 5 times x is 5x. 1 times 60 is 60. Now it says solve. All you need to do is divide by 5 on both sides, and x is equal to 12. So why don't you guys go ahead and cross multiply here. Well, actually, we'll do this example together. 10 times 4 is 40, and k times 2.5 is 2.5k. Divide both sides by 2.5, and we get k equals, and when you type in your calculator, 40 divided by 2.5, let's see what we get. 40 divided by 2.5 is 16. All right, so why don't you guys try, cross multiplying for these equations here. Solving for the given variable, okay? Moving on, we have some word problems. It says an 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains 72 milligrams of vitamin C. So 8 ounces has 72 milligrams of vitamin C. How much juice contains 60 milligrams? So if milligrams is on the bottom on the left ratio, it needs to be on the bottom on the right. And we are trying to solve for ounces, okay? So we have x times 72, and we have 8 times 60. So we get 72x equals 8 times 60 is 480. Divide both sides by 72, and x equals 480 divided by 72 is 6.6 ounces. Okay. The skull length of a crocodile is proportional to its body length. In one species, a 6-foot crocodile has a 2-foot skull. Estimate the length of a crocodile species that has a 3.5-foot skull. So again, the skull is on the bottom, and x feet goes on the top. So what do we have here? We have x times 2, and we have 6 times 3.5. Well, 2 times x is 2x, and 6 times 3.5 is 21. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals 21 divided by 2, which is 10.5 feet. Okay, so you have 6 more here, 6 more word problems. Get working on those, and I'm going to show you the next section. Does the ratio form a proportion? Show your work, yes or no. Well, again, all you have to do here is cross multiply. 9 times 5 is 45, and 7 times 7 is 49. These do not equal. Okay, so this is not a proportion. All right, 4 times 27.5 is equal to 10 times 11. Well, let's see. 4 times 27.5 is 110. 11 times 10 is also 110. That is a proportion. It checks. Okay, again, down here, all we're doing is solving the proportion. 5 times n is 5n. 7 times 15 is 105. Divide both sides by 5, and n equals 105 divided by 5 is 21. Okay. Write a proportion and solve, and then more proportions here and solving. Okay, so there are 90 books on 5 shelves. 90 books on 5 shelves. And that's going to equal X amount of books on 14 shelves. So if we cross multiply, we have 90 times 14, and you have 5 times X. So we get 5X equals 90 times 14 is 1260. Divide both sides by 5, and X equals 252 books. Okay. Moving on to the last section. Again, we have more word problems here. Theo wants to use a cookie recipe that makes 36 cookies. Okay, but he wants to reduce the number to 24 cookies. If the original recipe says 2 cups of sugar, how much sugar should he use for the 24 cookies? So what do we get? 36 times X and 24 times 2. Well, 36 times X is 36X, and 24 times 2 is 48. If you divide both sides by 36, X equals 48 divided by 36 is 1.3 cups. Okay, thanks for watching. Do the rest on your own.